Hello again, watch friends. Welcome back. I'd like you to join me on a road trip to the vintage watch department of my watch collection. I like to go there for a couple of reasons. One is I like to talk about this really cool vintage Omega Seamaster that you see in front of you. But also, I want to mention a couple things that I learned from the process of acquiring this watch and maybe the bigger picture of vintage watches in general. So let's get into it. The Omega Seamaster is from 1961. And how do I know it's 1961? Remember, Google is your friend. There are a whole bunch of watch sites on the web that let you put in a serial number of your watch, and from various databases they'll tell you the year of manufacture. So that's what I did. Based on the serial number of this watch, I found a website that let me track, based on the serial number, when this watch was made. It was made in 1961. As far as the specs go, it's a 34 millimeter diameter. It's 11 millimeters thick. The lug width is 18 millimeter, and lug to lug distance is 40 millimeter. So if you look at it, let's take a peek here. You can see that at 34 millimeters in diameter, this is more or less a small watch. It's not a teeny little watch, but it's in keeping with the watches of the 1950s and 1960s in that they were generally smaller, especially for dress watches, than watches are today. If you look at the side here, you can see that 11 millimeters is not particularly thick. Let's see if we can focus that. There we go. So it wears very well on the wrist. Let me undo the strap here. And you can see that even with the lug style that this watch has, it's not particularly long. So it will fit just about any size wrist. Now, if you have a huge wrist, it may look a little bit on the small side, but again, as a dress watch, it's going to fit. It's going to look nice. It's going to fit nicely under a cuff, and it's a very attractive watch. Let me take the strap off here. You can see the back has the famous Omega Seamaster logo. As you know, many of Omega watches have this kind of emblem, whether it's the Speedmaster or the Seamaster or Constellation. They all have some kind of imprinted logo of various sizes. The watch is both an automatic. It does offer hand winding, but no hacking. In other words, when you pull the crown out, the second hand does not stop. And you can see that this is all original. The dial's all original, the hands are original. At one time, 50 plus years ago, there was some lume on the hands, but that lume is long gone. And there's a very nice patina to the dial. The dial is sort of a silvery white sunburst, very attractive, and again, the overall gestalt of the watch is extremely attractive. I really like the size of this watch. I think it's just the right size. Personally, I like the 36 to 38 millimeter sizes, especially for dress watches. You can see that I put it on a Perlon strap. Now, some Perlons can be scratchy on the wrist. This Perlon happens to be a Hewlett brand Perlon. You can see right there on the buckle it says Hewlett. This is a very comfortable Perlon. And one of the advantages of a Perlon strap is that there are no holes in the strap. When you put the strap through the buckle, you get the exact size, the exact fit that you need, and you fasten it with the tang there. And it's very difficult with gloves, as you can see. There we go. And it looks rather nice like that. Now, how did I come about acquiring this watch? Well, I was looking to get a vintage Omega Seamaster dress watch, and I had seen in my research that on the various websites, on eBay and various forums, that these watches were selling anywhere from $400 to $800 in really good condition. And I think this is a very good example of this particular watch. So I paid $400 for this watch, and I thought I was getting a good deal, which I was. Since this watch is a keeper in my collection, in other words, I didn't plan to trade it or flip it. I wanted to keep it, have it for the duration. I thought I would get it serviced, have it cleaned, and see what else it might need. So when I took it to my local watchmaker and asked him to clean it and do a full service, it needed a new rotor on the back. It needed a new crystal, a new mainspring. He cleaned the case and did a full cleaning of the movement. So the servicing cost about $300. So between the $400 I spent to buy the watch and the $300 servicing charge, which included, by the way, a 1-year warranty, I spent $700 on this watch, which to me fits right in with the range of watches that we're selling for this particular model. So I think I got a good deal. And I just want to mention a couple of things about that approach. So, and that's where you need to think about several factors when you go to acquire a vintage watch. So had I bought a watch like this, let's say I spent, I don't know, $500, $600, $700 from one of the websites, I really wouldn't have known what the service history was. So at that point, whatever watch I got still may have needed a service, and that would have cost even more. So you need to consider not just the purchase price when you buy a vintage watch, but you need to consider what any servicing may cost as well. So that needs to be factored in to the overall cost of the watch. Another thing you need to do, obviously, is do your research, do your due diligence. So you need to search out various websites, see what these watches are selling for, and not just this particular watch, but any vintage watch, and make your decision based upon that. So you need to do your research, you need to think about the total cost of the watch, both the purchase price and the servicing costs. And when you think about it that way, that helps you decide if whatever watch you're buying, whatever vintage watch you're buying, is going to be a relative value or something that may cost more than you think. This particular Seamaster has a caliber 500 movement. Omega's well known for its 500, 502, and 500 series movements. It's a quality movement. Can be serviced easily by most watchmakers. So that's a good thing. That's a plus for this particular model. And basically, it's a nice piece. I really enjoy it. When I put it on the Perlon, as you can see on my wrist, if I move my glove, it's got a nice presence. It fits just right. And to me, the Perlon, I think, makes this watch sort of a summer watch. I'm not sure I'd wear it in the wintertime, but with the Perlon, it just feels so light, so comfy on my wrist that I really enjoy it. So, what's the bottom line? Be sure to consider the total cost of the watch that you're buying, and do your due diligence, and decide if you want to buy a watch as a keeper, because if you're planning to flip it or trade it, chances are you're going to lose some money, because as many of us know who are watch collectors, watches are not necessarily a good investment. It's a hobby, and if you enjoy something and the value is there, then it makes sense to go for it. I really like the patina on this watch, and of course I like the aesthetic. No Roman numerals, no Arabic numbers, just a really nice dress watch. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.